What is up? I am back with a very, very special guest. As you guys know, I really don't do interviews. I'm starting to do some more, and it takes someone special for me to take the time a bit away from just doing deals and even talking deals here with you guys to bring someone on. So it usually means they've got something really important to share, and also just that I plain old like them. So today I'm here with my friend that I call Swig, but Mike Swigunski. He's the best-selling author of Global Career: How to Work Anywhere and Travel Forever. Man, I remember when I had that dream, even doing really well financially, and it was like people talk about the kind of golden handcuffs, and that was a situation I was in about 12 years ago. I mean, it really hasn't been that long. Doing well, a lot of real estate, like completely stressed out. At that point, maybe 8 different businesses. And I realized I got to get rid of all this stuff. I tried to take a vacation with my girlfriend, was getting calls and just like, she's like, dude, like you cannot get away from this stuff. So that was my start to a lot more travel, living, kind of all over the world and all that. But I'd love to hear your origin story, Mike. So let's start there. How'd you get into this?
Yeah, so I mean, it goes way back. It's been around a decade of kind of living internationally as a nomad. I got started with actually studying abroad through the University of Missouri, and then after that program, I applied to be one of the student managers. So our university had kind of a unique sort of structure where you could take over the program, and for 2 years, you would essentially do all the marketing for the program. I actually taught courses through the university, and we were recruiting students for the program and then eventually taking them over. For me, it was to Prague in the Czech Republic, taking students over there and helping the professors kind of navigate the courses, help them with anything else that they need, and kind of structuring the whole study abroad program. So I did that for 2 years, and I was graduating, interviewing for had offers from Pepsi and some other like corporate jobs, but I was like, man, I really don't want to go down that path. I want to do something a little bit more unique. And what I did is I just booked a one-way trip over to Europe. And, the first place I looked was this university who I built a lot of good relationships with over the past 2 years. And I said, hey, I'm looking to work in Europe. Is there any opportunities here, or do you know anybody that you can connect me with? And, since I had teaching experience, they hired me to teach financial economics and an IT
Wow.
course through the university as like a professor. So that was my first job. And it was just kind of a proof of concept where I knew if I could find in Europe, which is one of the hardest places for Americans to just show up and find work,
Yeah.
if I could find a job there, I knew I could replicate this kind of process of working internationally and not just taking a year off to travel and kind of putting my career on pause, but to actually have a balance of traveling and also further in my career. And I kind of utilized that proof of concept and just kept building upon it until at one point I transitioned. I was like, I just needed to move into remote work. And eventually, instead of finding location jobs, places where I was, had to go to an office or a university or something like that, I'd found a job at a tech startup that allowed me to work remotely. And that was kind of, once it's a one-way street into remote work. Once you go down that path, you never really want to go back to
Yeah.
working in an office and, dealing with all the inefficiencies and fluff. So a lot of the tech startups that I'd worked for in the past were very focused on outputs, not really
Yeah.
concerned about just putting, hours spent in the office. They're more concerned about the results you're producing. So yeah, it's eventually led me to that, and now running my own remote business. So it's really, really cool.
And I definitely want to get into that. But even let's go back a little bit. So, what country was that university in that you were working at?
It was in the Czech Republic in Prague.
Okay, that's really interesting. I was thinking about the fact that I know where you're located today, and I want to get into that because I'm planning on traveling there whenever all of this madness is over. But I did an exchange program as well, which was kind of my introduction to going overseas. Nobody in my family ever went overseas. It just wasn't a
Wow.
thing. And so I went, and it was like this whole new world of possibility opened up, and that was in Costa Rica in Central America. And I just fell in love with like Central America, South America. So it's
That's very
interesting
cool.
that both of our first loves is where we happen to be located right now. So why don't you tell us a little bit about Georgia and how you chose that? You and I was sad that you left Columbia. I love that every time I touched down, we could meet up. But how did you pick Georgia?
Yeah, so when you're kind of doing the nomadic lifestyle, you definitely, everyone who's doing it for long term, they usually have a home base, and for us that used to be Medellin. But a lot of issues that a lot of things we look for in a country is the good value, the cost of living kind of ratio, the geo arbitrage. Does it check a lot of those boxes? And then also like the ease of getting visas. So my girlfriend's from Colombia, I'm from the United States. There's only so many overlap countries that we can go to for an extended period of time. And Georgia is by far one of the easiest places. It's 1 year on a tourist visa. We both just handed our passport. They gave us a stamp, handed us a bottle of Georgian wine, and it was one of the easiest processes to get into the country. And we're here for a year. After a year, we just leave, can do a border run, and come back in for another year. So that's the big thing. It's safer than Switzerland here statistically. It's got the European vibe like that I love so much about, the Czech Republic and Western Europe, but it's got the cost of, Southeast Asia. The cost of living
Yeah.
here is so valuable, and really good food, friendly people, small but cool community. So it checks pretty much every box that we're looking for. So we came for a
And
few months and just loved it.
And you missed one of the most important boxes, which is very Instagram worthy. Because I've
Yeah.
seen some of your photos, man. They are absolutely unreal. And
Yeah.
it's one of the things that I wanted to chat about. This is a time that I think for me, more people are reaching out to me in regards to moving out of the United States than ever
Yeah.
before. There's just so much going on. It seems like every couple of weeks there's a new crisis or a new huge issue, and from the economy to the health issues to the social unrest, it's just a lot going on. I think people for the first time are thinking about going remote, and at the same time, are a lot of people are being put in a position where they can live anywhere in
Right.
the world. So their jobs are allowing them to work wherever they want to, and so it's a really interesting thing. It's also interesting to see the balance between those companies that are used to having control. I was talking to a friend of mine about some different countries that she might go to. Works for one of the largest tech companies out of San Francisco,
Right.
and they're like, okay, at first they're like, okay, you can work remotely. So she goes and spends time on the East Coast, and they're like, nah, you need to come back, and we want you here. And she's like, okay, do I have to come to the office? No, we just want you here. And it's like
It's so
that
strange.
whole sense of just control that we see a lot. So one of the things that I love about your story is that you wrote the book, became a bestseller, and you also used Instagram to enter a contest that I thought was really, really cool. So tell us a little bit about the book, and if you don't mind, talk a little bit about how you kind of hacked your way into this incredible situation using your Instagram account that doesn't have it wasn't a tremendous amount of followers at that point, especially,
Right.
but became a really cool deal.
Yeah, so here's the book. It's called Global Career: How to Work Anywhere and Travel Forever. You can pick it up on Amazon, or you can just go to globalcareerbook.com and you get more information about it there. So as far as writing a book, the kind of reason behind it was I'd met a lot of Americans who were living overseas, and they just haven't heard about a lot of these opportunities for tax benefits, for finding remote and international jobs. And I was like, man, if these people don't know it, the average person in the United States definitely doesn't know it. If an expat with 5-10 years of living overseas hasn't heard about these. And it was, talking with multiple people who weren't aware of these kind of benefits. So that's kind of what sparked the idea, and, spent about a year and a half from the idea to publishing the book. And, it's been one of these things where I think remote
I'm
work
so
is
sorry.
the trend, but with our current,
I didn't mean to like
situation now, it's
reach my
really
hand
jumped things
up out
forward.
of nowhere. I just had a bird
Oh,
that
no
tried to
worries.
fly into the house.
Just
So
caught the bird.
yeah, I was like, don't come in. And it listened to me. It was kind of awesome. Like I had the power to speak to it, but it was like sitting on the ledge, like, should I come in? I was like, no, don't. It left. Sorry about that.
No worries. Yeah. So the book kind of came from that idea. And I think it's received a lot of great feedback, because a lot of the books out there, like the 4 Hour Work Week, they focus on the entrepreneurship side. And I don't think entrepreneurship is the correct jump from employment to entrepreneurship. Is a lot bigger leap than if you were going to jump from an office job to working remotely, building a side hustle, and then transitioning into that full-time entrepreneurship. So I think this book really kind of caters to a lot of people that are, maybe they're interested in, having a better kind of job built around their life and pursuing some of their side hustles and stuff that they can build on, their own business in addition to what they're learning at their remote job. So I do kind of see it as a progression that people want to make instead of just taking that big risk into entrepreneurship. So I do think it's kind of a step before you jump into entrepreneurship, is finding a remote job, learning some really good skills, and then utilizing those skills to build a company or a business. So I think it really caters to a lot of those people. And it's a bigger percentage of the population that are kind of interested in that. And people are just tired of, going in an office. So I think it really is a really, good thing to be happening right now. People are very interested in finding remote work.
Yeah, it's funny for me because I spend a lot of time, even in some cases, trying to convince a lot of the beginner business buyers to buy an offline business, build that business, sell that business, and that takes you from having to do a no money down deal to having some
Right.
cash in the bank, and now you can go do that internet business and then have a life of freedom. And I'll be honest, essentially that was kind of my story, where I started out with those, but more and more, and it's why those businesses end up selling at a premium, just more and more, even on my side, whether it's working remotely or buying a business that allows you to be remote. It's basically people are saying, kind of voting with their dollars by saying, hey,
Right.
I see this offline business that might keep me tethered to the city that I've lived in forever, and it's a better deal. It's less money. It's, no money up front. It's all of these things. And I'm willing to pay more with less financing, and in order to have that freedom of being able to live anywhere. So
It's definitely worth the premium.
yeah. It's, oh my God, I can tell you, as somebody who went from, a pretty awesome net worth, 8 businesses, was like, hey, I don't care what it takes. I'm selling these. Had
Right.
32 units of properties. It's like, sold those. And, it's just like, okay, I was on one path and basically reset that whole path to get on this path. And there has not been a single day that I've regretted it. Swig.
Yeah, I'm curious, Ace, to hear if somebody had 100,000 to invest, would you 100% tell them to go into online assets, or would you say to do a combination of maybe physical or just online, or just go one path?
If you've got, I really, financially, the smarter thing is offline right now. I mean, there's just
Right.
so many assets. You can just get them for nothing. There's opportunity to go in and grow them using technology, because it's the baby boomers that are selling them.
Right.
I've got clients that are looking at some, I do get a few clients that are willing to do those deals. And in every case, we're just buying the business for less than the assets are worth. And, they're financing a great majority of it. Then for the other part, it's easy to go to the bank because you've got assets, unlike a online business. And,
Right.
you've just got all of that. And what that allows you to do is, even if you want to do a large deal, you've got that 100,000, you get into a $1 million deal, really not using any of your money, and you start to pay that off. And now you can sell that and leave. And as you are well familiar in the online business sales space, I mean, it's just, you're that 100,000 isn't going to get you nearly as
much. Yeah. Yeah, that's definitely true. You can use that physical asset to leverage a lot more and kind of get you a little bit further down the road to buy a larger online asset in the future.
Yeah, and that's what, it's really about having a long-term plan. The thing that always scares me is when I have somebody who's buying a single business and it's gonna pay enough money to allow them to survive. If somebody at least has enough money to spend less, be putting a certain amount aside to buy another business, invest in other things, have some passive investments. That makes me a lot more comfortable. And with 100,000, you can do that, but I'm always going to pitch that offline deal first. So I do want to talk about your 100 best remote companies, and I want to talk about it from the perspective of some of these people that may be buying businesses. But I also don't want to jip the audience out of this Instagram story, because I thought it was just a cool thing that you were able to pull off. So if you don't mind chatting a little bit about that, and then we'll get into this amazing survey that went into a tremendous amount of detail you guys worked on.
Yeah, definitely. So I think you're referring to the Instagram thing where I won the British Airways photography contest. Yeah. Okay. So a while ago, I mean, one of my big hobbies is photography. So I'm always just going out, taking photos, and it's something I love to do. And when you're traveling, it's one of those things that's really easy to get into because you're in all these beautiful areas. So I was on Instagram a while ago. This must have been probably 4 years ago when Instagram wasn't as huge as it is now. And I saw British Airways was hosting a photography contest. And I looked at the rules. There was unlimited, entries. You could use a hashtag to enter as many times as you wanted. And I looked at, a little bit more of the details, and I saw the photographer. He was a famous Italian photographer. He had a very interesting type of style that he liked. It was mostly like beach photography, kind of near the ocean. And he was going to be the judge for the contest. So I started entering all my photos, and especially ones that kind of fit his criteria. And I think there was like 5,000 people who had entered, but I had entered, hundreds of different photos for this, and a lot of one that fit.
You may have been like 10% of the entries.
Yeah, probably. I had great odds.
Yeah.
And so he ended up selecting my photo, which was from Taiwan, this really cool kind of like beach setting with these crazy looking rocks. It looks like you're on, Mars or something. And I won 500,000 frequent flyer miles for British Airways. So it was really cool just to kind of utilize a photo that I've taken, utilize Instagram, and they were promoting my page a lot. So it kind of helped build my following from, a long time ago. And yeah, it's one of those things that I'm still very passionate about today. I still go out, we're always looking for places now that I have a drone to do some drone photography.
And you've got some great ones. So shout out to your Instagram so people can go check that out, because they're probably at the moment right now. It's like, I want to go see his Instagram right now. I don't want to wait to the end of it.
Check it out. Swig Meets World. SWIG meets MEETS World. And
so when you told me that story, I just love the fact that it's like, okay, look at the rules. Because I'm sure there are a ton of people that just didn't know they could do as many entries as they want. The other thing is, doing research on who you're doing the deal with, and who is that person, and how can you get them what they want. So I love the hustle in that. All right, let's talk about these 100 best companies. And, I have a remote team. I've had a remote team for the last 12 years, which I really, really love. And so, if I want to get into this top 100, or at least have those similar characteristics, what are some of the things that you were looking for in these companies? How did you decide on them? and how can we create great environments for remote employees?
Yeah, so we looked at six main factors when we were selecting these top 100 remote companies, and a lot of them are remote first. They've been around for, some of them have been around for more than 10 years, and they're kind of the industry leaders. But the main reason we did this was we surveyed thousands of remote job seekers who are struggling to find legitimate remote companies. I didn't even know this was an issue at the time of doing this, but a lot of people are, there's a lot of MLM scams and, jobs out there that are disguised as remote jobs, but they're not actually legitimate. So that's the reason behind us kind of curating these 100 remote companies. And the things we looked at were the company size, how big are they? How far have they grown over the past few years? How long have they been in business? Maybe there's a lot of good remote companies that are popping up, but we looked at, factoring in how long they've actually been remote and how long they've been in business, their growth trends, how fast that industry they're in is growing. But one of the biggest factors we looked at is the employee benefits. What are they offering their remote workers, their remote employees? A lot of the best remote companies are offering things like unlimited and mandatory vacation times. We've experienced this in the past with remote companies. They start off with unlimited vacation and nobody ends up taking any vacation. So you have to kind of mandate, at least 2 weeks, probably getting up to more around 4 weeks where you have mandatory vacation time. And then other benefits like, home office stipend, a wellness stipend, maybe that comes with, $100 a month you can use for the gym, you can use for like meditation apps, other types of wellness benefits, because people are going to be working from home. They want these kind of extra benefits. And there's a lot of other cool things that I've seen, from free streaming services, a lot of other things like, you can have a coffee stipend and stuff like that.
I love it.
I think just kind of, catering towards what your employees want. I think, I talked to a lot of guys in previous remote companies and they're like, I really just want like the company to cover my cell phone plan. So you can survey your employees, figure out what they want, because they might not care about, X, Y, and Z that you're offering. You can save money on that when nobody's really wants it. They want this other stuff that maybe it's a better value add to them. So I think you really need to talk to your employees, figure out what the benefits are going to be for them.
Yeah.
And I think you're going to have varying results. So we looked at those things, the employee benefits. And then lastly, we looked at the Glassdoor ratings. So Glassdoor is a website where current and previous employees can go and rate the company. So they have a really good system of, if somebody got fired or if somebody quit, they can go on there and add some feedback about, the remote company, how they're doing internally and stuff. So we took all those factors in and created this top 100 remote companies list.
I love it. So let's talk about the opposite. I get a lot of people that are contacting me and, they want to work remote and they're like, I'm ready to leave. I'm ready to get out of here. And so maybe they're going to just find a job so they can go remote while they're looking for a business to buy or to get into a business or whatever. So what would be some of the recommendations you would give somebody who's looking for a remote job?
Yeah, so I think a lot of people really struggle with their resumes. So I've been doing free kind of audits so we're helping people land remote jobs with our program. And we have everyone apply for the program. So I'm looking at tons of resumes, and some of these resumes, there's just no way they're going to get a job. They're basically formatted as like a job description. They've pretty much just taken the job description and put it in their resume. So I think a lot of people struggle with the resume. That's one kind of pain point.
I've seen some of those resumes. It's like, man, like, did you really think you're going to get a job with this resume?
Yeah, so it's really tough. They struggle with the resume. The other pain point is just trying to find remote jobs. So a lot of the job boards like LinkedIn, even like monster.com, Indeed, they're not necessarily structured for remote jobs. So all the remote jobs are just buried in there. And that's why Global Career, we focus on non-technical remote jobs to really highlight those remote positions that are actually legitimate companies and fully remote. So that's the second pain point, is people just can't find these remote jobs. So utilizing some of the remote only job boards. And then the third area is just the application. People aren't tweaking their resume for the actual job position. So we teach people how to utilize the keywords on their resume to match up to the applicant tracking system. So a lot of remote companies are using these software to automatically accept or reject resumes based on what keywords are actually in the resume. So we tell people kind of how to increase their odds and to really format their application, so they're going to have 3 or 4 times better chances than other people who are just blindly submitting stuff.
I love it. And so tell us a little bit about your program, how that works, and how people can contact you if they're interested in working with you.
Yeah, so the program is called the Remote Life Program, and we help people that are either unemployed or they're currently employed at an office job and looking to work remotely. So we have people that, you know, they have a US based job and they just want to go live overseas and they want to find a remote job. So you can contact me. You can reach out to me on LinkedIn at Mike Swigunski, or you can go to our job board at globalcareer.io and you can find the Remote Life Program. I'll put a link. It's just remote-life-program. And,
cool.
You know, we
Send
can
link.
maybe
We'll
add a link to the description. But yeah, right now we are accepting applications, so you can apply for it. And if you're accepted, then it's basically a 4-stage process where the main goal is to help you find a legitimate remote company that's going to be higher paying than your current position.
Yeah, now that you say that, I have heard of some of those scams where, people get, contracts and they say, okay, you're going to be earning this. And, they end up traveling and they're in another country and it was really something shady that was going on or whatever. So it's very valuable to provide that research for folks. Yeah. Mike, man, it is so good to have you. Number one, it's great to catch up, see your face. It's been a while. I'm very much, I actually had plans to be there in September. That may not happen, but yeah, I look forward to getting over to Eastern Europe sometime soon.
Yeah,
be sure to check out Mike. What's that again?
Fingers crossed you can make it here.
Yeah. So be sure to check out Mike's book, Global Careers. Really awesome. I bought it on Kindle. It's, just if you're looking at, even for me as somebody who is kind of on the employer side that has a remote team, that it was valuable. And so I think whether you're a business owner or somebody who wants to go remote as a employee, it's super valuable. Thanks so much for checking out this episode. Be sure to subscribe below. Hit us with some comments. Who knows? Maybe Mike will come back and answer some additional questions. Thanks so much, guys. I appreciate it. Hey there, Ace Chapman here. I wanted to share this quick clip with you. It's what a few of the folks have said about participating in the private equity fund incubator.
I was saying, no wonder they keep this a secret. This is a key to, this is wealth.
This is it.
Out of thin air. Yeah.
Yeah, this is, I can't wait to dive into every single one of these and just learn the hell out of all this, because it is the magic formula. It's crazy.
Yeah.
This is way more than I had expected. This is like the real deal, and I'm super excited for all of this. Just getting the nitty-gritty of everything.
Hey, Ace, before you go, I'll just make you laugh with this one. I'll make all of you guys laugh. So all of my children, their first name starts with a C, and I tell them that if you don't name the grandchild with the C, you're disinherited. But I'm thinking I may even change that, because Ace, I may have to name a grandchild.
Now, if you're somebody who is interested in following along as these 3 first participants start their very first private equity fund, be sure to go to acechapman.com, enter your information, and we'll let you follow along for free. That's right,
completely for free. Just go to acechapman.com, enter your information, and someone will contact you with next steps.